I'm Damon Zhao, and it's time for your Eve Echoes weekly news update, where we dive into all the happenings of the week. But first, if you can tag that subscribe button and ring that bell, you too can stay up to date with everything that this channel has to offer. Alright, a bit of an update on my son. Unfortunately, my son will remain on a apnea monitor for another month, as his doctors were not pleased with the results. To compound that, my wife and I, for a period of 4 days, did not sleep, as the lead wires from the monitor were actually faulty and kept registering false info, setting off the alarm every 5 to 15 minutes. The monitor did not register his breathing at all, so my wife would not allow herself to sleep in fear of sleeping through a possible alarm. The paranoia of running to your child in fear that they have stopped breathing is something I would not wish on anyone. We have received new wires in the meantime, and everything is now working fine. We've both gotten some sleep and a little peace of mind, and he is doing fantastic. This week we had the end of the test server, and this week's maintenance only brought us 2 optimizations and 4 bug fixes. The first optimization was what we get every week, which is the estimated prices of the current market transactions have been updated so that everything is up to date according to the market value. And then the second one is they added some previously missing translations for items in the game. They also have the 4 fixes this week. The first one is they fixed an issue where players could not see the structure components blueprints on a corporation manufacturing page. They fixed an issue where some players could not initiate or view item exchange contracts. They fixed an issue where some players would see a black screen after switching to the test server. This issue can be fixed by reinstalling the game. Of course, doesn't really an issue now since there is no more test server. And the last one is they added translations to the item delivery notifications triggered by the destruction of your own corporate citadel. To say the bulk of the players are not in favor of the balance changes proposed would be an understatement. So much so that NetEase put out a May Balance Update public test server feedback form where you can tell them exactly how you feel about the changes proposed. Whether they will take this feedback to heart and reverse some of the changes, we'll have to just wait and see on that. That being said, we were informed by Joseph, the community manager, that these changes are also meant to interact with the content that they will be releasing in the summer. That these changes will make a lot of sense later on after everyone starts to get towards that max tech level. When asked for any hint of information, well, I guess we'll just have to wait. And added to the list of things we now have to wait for, scanning is now one of them, as it was initially slated to be released in May, and now we're looking towards more June-ish. That's right, this information was not released by the devs in an announcement or a tweet. No, this was discovered by a player who asked in the player support area. Only after bringing this to the attention of the community manager were we given a response that yes, it has been finished, but being pushed to sometime in June for further quality testing, and that they would update the Trello roadmap to reflect these changes. This week in the solve map, we see the shuffling around of citadels with losses and gains, some within the same system, and could be the result of corporations switching around within alliances. But let's look at the numbers between the 23rd and the 30th of April. Pantheon, the solve leader, lost 3 citadels this week while gaining 7, bringing their total to 58. Silent Federation lost 2 systems while gaining 3 this week, bringing their total to 37. ACR has lost 2 this week and gained 2, maintaining their total of 22. Quasar Coalition has lost 2 this week and gained 2, maintaining their total of 17. Providence Coalition lost a system this week, bringing their total down to 10. Warp has lost 1 system and gained the same system, maintaining their total of 6. Red Machine has gained 2 systems this week, bringing their total up to 6. Genesis gains 1 system, bringing their total up to 4 total systems. And this week we see the fall of 2 of the few remaining citadels belonging to the now defunct Golden Horde. As always, thanks to Exekiel, who maintains these maps and publishes them to Reddit each week, as well as maintaining up-to-date maps in his GitHub, which can be found in the description below. This week in your Plex market report, we see the price of Plex race towards that 1.9 million per Plex, with only small amounts listed in the upper 1.7 to the lower 1.8 million range. If you see cheap Plex listed, always buy it up. This week we see the relations between FRA, a member of Catch-22, and the Chinese community, spearheaded by NEEC, sour due to racist and derogatory comments made in local just days leading up to the Chinese Freedom Holiday. Apparently these comments did not just stay in local, as one member of FRA made a new Discord name and spouted off in the Chinese channel on the official Echoes Discord and was muted within 20 minutes. These are the comments that I was able to obtain that were said in local, and yes, they aren't so much as racist, but they are inflammatory to the Chinese culture. I am told that FRA pilots have a long history of offensive comments and shit-talking in local, and to say that these comments were offensive to the Chinese enemies would be an understatement. NEEC was rallying the Chinese community to them to wipe FRA from the map, and ACR, HAN, CAF, and BAB are all hearing the clarion call of war, bringing the full weight down upon them. I am told that the offending members have been removed from management, yet still remain within FRA. The offenders have even gone on record stating that they will not apologize, while Catch-22 leadership have started distancing themselves and apologizing on behalf of Catch-22, even going as far as offering to pay restitution for the offense. I have reached out to both NEEC and Catch-22 leadership for official comments on the deteriorating situation. The Catch-22 leadership states that it was brought to the attention of the Catch-22 Senate that a pilot within their ranks has conducted themselves in a way that is unbecoming of a member of their coalition. The views and opinions expressed in the altercation between the Catch-22 member and a member of the opposing alliance do not in any way reflect the views and opinions of Catch-22. Catch-22 is dedicated to conducting themselves in a way that is inclusive of all peoples, religions, cultures, and backgrounds, regardless of diplomatic status. The Catch-22 Senate and leadership are dealing with the parties involved in an effort to make amends. NEEC's response, other than what has been depicted in the screenshots, has been short and to the point. In their comment to me, they have cut all communications with FRA and will go after them with full force. I was also contacted by FRA leadership, who had a lot to say on the situation. FRA is an extremely PvP-orientated alliance, although we have all types of activity and players within our alliance. As a result, PvP roaming among our neighbors is very frequent. NEEC, EFR, 420L, Warp, and others that I have surely forgotten. As a result, the losses caused by our PvP roaming annoy our neighbors, and since we have a solid SRP system, it is only fun for us. This is not the first time that we received pressure from the allied NEEC bloc, low-sec mercenary friends with NEEC coming to attack us, camp our systems, and catch our industrials. Anyway, all of these little actions on part of each camp amuse us a lot in terms of content for a PvP alliance like us, and are very formative for our players. Learning to bait an industrial camper to succeed in catching it, training to form up in express to defend themselves. Yesterday, some screenshots of FRA player taunt were released by NEC, and the words of some French players are not acceptable. I agree. French Latin culture knows how to accept certain criticism for a joke, and it's true that this is not the taste of all cultures. But anyway, like I said, words of some have gone too far, and I apologize on behalf of the FRA community. I hope this incident will not impact the vision of the French-speaking community too much. But the reality of the story is that this little game, FRA vs NEEC, has been around for a long time. We too have already seen more than limited words in local chat like white pig, Negroes, monkey, homophobic insults, etc. from players writing in Mandarin and thinking themselves protected by their different alphabet. Unfortunately for them, direct screen translation on a Google Translate works wonderfully even with the Mandarin alphabet. We just hadn't done screenshots because we don't think that the word of a single angry player who overflows should impact an entire alliance or coalition. Finally, and this is my fair opinion, these screens are just a dishonest maneuver on the part of NEC, who had an unofficial gentleman agreement with Catch-22 to be able to finally attack FRA without having any remorse towards Catch-22. In addition, it went up in the high authorities of large allied coalitions, GenFed for example, in order to destabilize our internal relations in a cowardly way. This situation gets a little more complicated with the now inclusion of Catch-22 within the Pantheon Genesis Allied Coalition against the Content Coalition and their entry into the war in the South. While sources within Genesis have stated that Mamasaurus Rex has officially condemned the actions of their new allies and has told the leader of FRA to expel the offending members. I reached out to sources within Pantheon, and their lead FC, J-Factor, states the actions of FRA in no way reflect the views of Pantheon, whom have close ties to many Chinese we consider to be our close friends within Pantheon. This is a game after all, and these are real-world things that have no place within a game. To make matters worse, the FRA member took to Reddit to show that he had received a ban in-game for his comments and then doubled down on his statement.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
This thread has since been taken down. However, since then, I have been contacted by the offending pilot, and here is his statement. I want to make it clear, since I am the one accused of racism. It was just taunting in local. Nothing racist has been pronounced. I have hurt the nationalist feelings of some players, and I am sorry for that, especially 2 days before the Chinese National Day, which I did not know at the time. In the other hand, I've been insulted many times, myself, my family, even the daughter I do not have, my country, my skin color, in Chinese, and I've never made a big scandal about it. I am, in real life, a long-time anti-racism and human rights activist, and I fought for all forms of discrimination in different countries. I tried today, the 30th of April, to establish a dialogue with the Chinese to sort it out and understand why this shitstorm has started. The result has been a nice and cordial talk with Iraqi. I'm guessing that those talks bore fruit as a FRA Citadel came out of hold timer at 5 a.m. Chinese time on the 1st, and no one showed up to take it down. Catch-22 backed up FRA as a defense force fielded 270 pilots on grid with no Reds in sight. Hostilities between Catch-22 and Warp, a member of the Content Coalition, have also escalated this week. Hit-and-run attacks upon Warp by Yeet, as well as shield timers stripped away from a Warp Citadel, has escalated as the Content Coalition has gone on the offensive, striking Catch-22 Citadels this week. Multiple shield timers as well as armor timer. However, the expert use of warp bubbles by Catch-22 has prevented more armor timers being taken. While hitting the RR-D05 Citadel armor, the Pantheon Genesis forces amassed a fleet of 136, including Catch-22 pilots, as their introduction into the war proper, one system over. The Coalition fleet of 113, comprised of OG, Void, ACR, and Warp, left the station grid at 30% armor to position itself on the gate while leaving a small force behind to keep the timer paused. The Pan-Fed forces jumped into the system and anchored up on the gate as both fleets started calling targets and brawled on top of each other. I was at the battle, and I can say that it was a lot of fun. However, my Samsung S9 seemingly cannot handle large fleet fights, as well as Discord comms, as the lag was real. Comms dropped halfway through the fight, and the system thought it was disconnecting me, so it auto-warped me away. Now when I warped back, I landed back on top of the Red Sea of ships and started hitting the closest primary targets. The Content Coalition fleet had its back broken and had the fleet almost fully annihilated, while the Pantheon fleet suffered minimal losses. I am proud to say that this fight ended the way fights should, with GFs spread across local, and I was pleasantly surprised by the lack of propaganda that usually follows these large battles. Respect to all sides of this engagement. As continued coverage of the war in the South, a Genesis fleet engaged Void forces this week during an op to remove yet another intumescent belt from Void territory. The Genesis fleet was spotted amassing within SeaTac J with retrievers as Void had guessed the target. They had started forming a defensive fleet. The Genesis fleet had mined out most of the target by the time the response fleet had formed and landed within the belt. However, they were stuck in a dead-end system and brought in mining scepters to try to finish out the job. The Void fleet answered this by sending in their own interceptors once again to the belt, provoking the Pan-Jed forces to bring their fleet back to the belt. Upon landing, they trapped themselves within their own warp bubbles as the bulk of the Void fleet also landed back on grid and rushed them. A significant portion of the invading fleet was wiped out, while Void forces only suffered the loss of one battleship and a handful of battlecruisers. The invading forces were then hell-camped within MOCW TAC 2 and suffered more losses while trying to filter out. The Genesis sources see this as a win for pinning down Void forces to camp a system preventing them from further fighting. Pantheon had lost a citadel this week after maintenance to No Please Stop forces, who seemingly have been hitting everyone in New Eden this week. The citadel was taken out in the GY6A TAC L system, with no defense formed and no even tried to ransom the citadel to squeeze out a bit more ISK. Pantheon sources state that they were not told of the anchoring of the station, so no fleet was assembled to protect it. No didn't stop with Pantheon, as they had a busy week, 4 large fights, all of which outnumbered, and by the end of it, all multiple battleships dead, another 2 citadels, and an outpost. The first of these fights was against the Silent Federation, 35 versus 100, where they had fought outnumbered, yet with their superior Logi pilots, No carried the field while also killing a Nightmare as well as the Silent Federation citadel. They went on to fight Han and BAF on their citadel 60 versus 140. After the fight, they let the citadel stand, however. Next, No would move on to Ketch, where they carpet-bombed 3 citadels into structure and smashed their defensive fleets. Next, they would hit Han, ACR, and BAF, claiming another citadel kill. Here are some of the high-value targets that they have sacked this week. Among them are 4 Nightmares, 4 Balgorns, 2 Macarials, and 1 Rattlesnake. All of these battles can be found on Tahini's channel, which can be found in the description below. Also, congratulations to him for becoming an official content creator for Eve Echoes. Do you have an ocean of salt after constant Sov warfare? Are you not skilled enough to win the ISK war? Good news. Friend of the channel and community icon Space Karen has an opportunity for you to get even in the first ever server-wide meme competition, the Hunger Memes. The event will be held on the mobile gaming Gulag Discord starting this Sunday at 1900 UTC and end exactly 1 week on the following Sunday at the same time. Submissions will be judged by Karen and fellow honk legend slippyslappy. No format requirements, but any in real life personal attacks or discriminatory content will result in disqualification. The contest organizers would like to thank the generosity of their sponsors, the Silent Alliance, Pantheon, and Honk, with an estimated prize pool of almost 15 billion ISK. Additionally, this event has gotten the attention of the developers and has been shared officially on the Eve Echoes social media, and they have assurances that if the event is successful, there may be potential developer prizes, possibly a medal in the future. Space Karen encourages everyone to participate and enjoy countless laughs of the rich gaming history we all share. May the memes be forever in your favor. A link to the Gulag Discord can be found in the description below. Hey, Edwin97 Cow, here is your shout out. I would like to take this time to spotlight a pilot and his spectacular death. Not to ridicule, but instead to highlight the fact that while most mobile games are pay to win, this is not one of them. Well, at least not to that extent. I give you Rots Bunny, a new pilot by his own admission and only a few days old. First, he learns an expensive lesson as he attacks someone in low-sec and dies to the gate guns, a 1.4 billion daredevil. But that's okay, he makes a lot of money. But this is not the death that we are focusing on. First, let's look at his next ship, one that just hurts my heart, and where we first glimpse the reason for this article itself. A 588 DPS Vindicator. That's right, 4 days old and we are already in a Vindicator. Yes, money can buy you a lot of things in this game. Expensive mods, fancy ships, but it cannot buy you the skills needed for those mods and those ships. You know where this is going. That's right, a 13 billion spectacular death. And wait a minute, that right there. No, it can't be. But yes, it is. No wonder he couldn't burn back to the gate. So let this be a lesson to you. Your wallet may say yes to that next big fancy ship. However, you need to start listening to your skills. The Corporation Alliance Spotlight this week goes out to Valhalla. Do you enjoy blowing things up? Do you like working as a team with voice comms? Do you want to be a Viking? If you answered yes, the valorous Vikings of Valhalla are looking to help you turn into a true space Viking. We are seeking pilots and corporations wishing to join Valhalla with similar ideals and desires of a player-first community. Begin your Viking journey at the gates of Valhalla now. Valhalla is recruiting to fulfill its mission to give our Vikings the most compelling gaming experience possible. To inspire and promote community by putting players at the center of our services. Valhalla does this through their 3 named divisions within Valhalla. Dragonfleet, specializing in gang warfare, that PvP. The Nord's Raiders, for bringing the treasures of the universe to the halls of Valhalla for barter, PvE. And Drop Bear Industry, powering their community with cheap ships and modules for their members. Valhalla is an English and Spanish-speaking community with an active player base across Australia, Asia Pacific, Americas, and European time zones. Valhalla has also a long journey in Eve Echoes, helping set many records. Valhalla is now a proud member of the Genesis Federation. Genesis Federation is run within their players at heart, providing services and content that is among the best in-game. Valhalla is an extension of this focus, providing content wherever it can within this bohemian community. Fly together, fly dangerously. A link to them can be found in the description below. Okay, we have a few fresh bounties on the bounty board this week. The first is from slippyslappy. There is a 200 million bounty for Lemming 1607, last seen in Honk territory system of YRNJ Tech 8. slippyslappy is enacting a second coup for the leadership of Honk. Contact Slappy in-game or via Discord for payment on the scalp. Our next bounty is from Airbus A380-800, and he wants to put up a bounty on Admiral Danius. Any battleship kill mails on him during the month of May are eligible, 100 million ISK each, up to 10. His contact information will be below in the description to collect payment. Our next bounty is from Dogo Dude, formerly of Pantheon, and the target is J-Factor. Dogo is willing to pay 50% PPK value for J-Factor's kill mail. This bounty is running until the 25th of May or until he has no more ships. And the last bounty this week is issued by Pantheon's own hotdog on this handsome, magnanimous pilot here. The bounty currently sits at 125 million on any ship kill mail 400 million and up in value on Damon Zell. This bounty is running for 2 weeks from the time of this airing. When asked the reason for the bounty, I was told, the reason is because of Damon's love and obsession with the McDonald's Filet-O-Fish sandwich.
Give me back that Filet-O-Fish. up on this wall. If it were you in that sandwich, you wouldn't be laughing at all.
Okay, so I figured out how to give away Badran's Cynabal. I came up with a different type of contest. Do you have some good art skills? I'm looking to update my avatar, and if you can freshen up my look, then you can win this Cynabal. All submissions can be entered to me via Discord, and the winner will be selected within 2 weeks. Big kills this week was not in effect due to the test server being up and running most of the week. And now for everyone's favorite, the solo kills of the week and a chance at a free Omega combo. There's not a lot due to the test server being up, but here are the ones that were eligible outside of those test dates. Second runner-up is Crumbs with a 2.117 billion Vigilant kill. First runner-up is Mystery Meow with a 2.169 billion Cynabal kill. We have Deep IO with this 3.9 billion Terror kill. Unfortunately, that outpost did not drop. And the winner this week of a free Omega combo is Erubitai with a 10.7 billion Executioner Interceptor kill. It's a fantastic kill, and it's heartbreaking that that blueprint did not drop. Alright, get with me on Discord and we will get that prize out to you. Now that's all the news I have for this week, but if you need more news in your life, I ask you to go over to Rambo's Echoes of New Eden podcast. It's a great show. He's got great interviews with leading people throughout the community as well as top level FCs. Now from the channel, have a great weekend, have a great week, fly safe, and remember, we are always one vision, one purpose, one front.